This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
And unfortunately, Rick gets injured around this time. And on October 17th, Scott would beat Rick Steamboat for the WCW World Television Championship. So a lot of times when you see brothers or a successful tag team, people start to wonder, when are we going to split them up? And we saw before they were a tag team, Rick was the TV champion. Well, now with Rick down, Scott gets to try his hand in singles, and he beats Steamboat, one of the all-time greats, to become the television championship. And around that same time, we start to see some seeds planted for a potential heel turn with Scott Steiner. And of course, I don't know that we ever get to see it all the way happen, because the Steiners suddenly leave WCW. What do you remember about them leaving World Championship Wrestling?
Well, I remember the Cowboy having issues communicating with Scott Steiner.
Okay.
To the point that I think they were going to have a meeting, or did have a meeting. And Watts told me he's going to meet with these guys and get all this shit cleared up, blah, blah, blah. Then he mentioned to me he's got his gun with him. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, Wild Bill, come on. Saddle your horse, put him in the barn, leave the gun at home. But he was, obviously, he perceived Scott as being very volatile and dangerous for a guy Cowboy's age. So what do? You get an equalizer to protect yourself. So Bill's lack of ability or motivation to make peace with Scott was unsuccessful. And when Bill told Rick that I'm not going to sign your brother back.
Right.
And that made the decision to leave WCW for WWE that much easier for the Steiners. Rick was the foreman of the ranch. But his little brother not being renewed or getting cut from the team, whatever you want to look at, however you want to look at it, did not set well with Big Brother. And so that facilitated their exit much easier and much more quickly. And it was a blow. It was a blow. We named all these teams they worked with. They had earned a national and a global reputation as being as good a tag team as there was. You can't just automatically take somebody off the shelf and say, well, this is a seamless transition. It wasn't seamless. You don't replace a team like the Steiners without it hurting your roster.
It's an interesting story. I've never really asked Scott about it, but I mean, do you think how much of Scott's frustration do you think was based on Eric Watts?
Oh, some was. A lot of guys had that apprehension.
Yeah.
Cowboy, here's an analogy maybe. It was the same basic pushback that Dusty got, the whispering in the shadows when Dusty started pushing Dustin so heavily. The difference was that Dustin was a lot better worker than Eric.
Right.
So, it shouldn't have happened. Eric was not ready for that role at that time. And we were trying to squeeze a square peg in a round hole, so to speak, all because Cowboy could, because he was the boss. No different than Dusty could, because he was the boss when the Dustin push came along. So there's going to be feedback. Most guys would say a word. Most guys aren't Scott Steiner. He expressed himself. He had no issues expressing himself. He had no fear of anybody, of anything, and he was going to speak his mind. And he knew that his brother was going to support him. They wanted to be a team. They wanted to travel together. They wanted to be on the road together. And look, they'd already proven themselves as being great. So why screw up greatness? You can't replicate it. So that's another issue where you've got the booker being too close to the creative, maybe, which may sound oxymoronic, but Bill should have known better than to try to push Eric at that point in time. Should have waited and let him earn his stripes, earn the respect of the guys in the locker room. Eric was a nice enough kid, no doubt about that.
Sure.
He just wasn't ready for that spot.
Let me ask, when you're talking with Cowboy, you're friendly with the Steiners, did you have any conversation with either side when all of this is sort of coming to a head and try to intervene, or was that not really something you were interested in?
No, I talked to him about it. I was all for the company surviving and becoming profitable and Cowboy being able to turn it around and all those good things. But yeah, we talked about it. His issue came back to Scotty. Like, you can't control him, kid. You can't control him. Okay. Well, why don't you try a little harder?
Right.
You can take these arguments and these debates to Cowboy so far. Then at some point in time, if you read the room correctly, it's time to back away.
Right.
He ain't changing his mind. And now he's becoming defiant with me because I have a different opinion of him. And I also think that affected my relationship with the Steiners because I was so closely affiliated with a Cowboy. Even though I was in WCW for a good long while before Watts came there, I didn't bring him in, but I got blamed for some of his shit. And I think it ended up my relationship with him. If you ask Bill Shaw, the former WCW guru, I think he would say, well, we just wanted to clean house. And JR was a guy with too close of ties to Cowboy. So shame on me for being loyal.
A pretty famous story from the time. He being Rick Steiner is riding with Doc, Gordy, and they're going down the road, and he thinks he sees what looks like a bonfire on the side of the road, but it turns out as he gets upon it, it's actually a massive car wreck, and one of the cars is on fire. And Doc's asleep. He wakes Doc up, and they help save some lives here. They're not able to save all the lives, but they actually save 3 dudes' lives right out of this fire. And supposedly one of these guys approaches them at a show later and thanks him for saving his life. And I think they even wrote an article about this story and how these guys were heroes. But as the rumor and innuendo goes,
no rumor,
they were heels on TV. You shouldn't be saving lives. And apparently Watts was upset by this.
He was. You're
killing the business, saving people for real. Let them die. It's good for business.
It's just like losing a fight in a bar, in the Mid-South territory. This is not rumor, innuendo.
Okay.
In the Mid-South bars, if you lose a fight to a civilian, you're out.
But come on, saving a guy's life, that's different, right?
Oh, of course. Yeah. Cowboy just trying to really underscore a point.
Sure.
I'm sure Bill didn't, the worst transgression would have been if they were both, if one was a baby face and one was a heel. Right. Now they would have been up Schitt's Creek.
Right.
So he didn't like that. He wanted to protect the gimmick, protect the business, as he would say. And guys learned that early on. They learned respect for the business. But no, Cowboy he would have been upset if they were a heel and a baby face traveling together, like the old Duggan Iron Sheik thing.
Right.
Back in the day when they got busted.
But that was actually around this same time, believe it or not. I think that happened in '87. So yeah, this would have been a similar time frame.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.